One of the world's most dangerous serial killers might have remained at large had he been more knowledgeable about computers. Imagine a man who is not only a serial killer, but also a friend of his victims, a well-known figure, and a doctor. This is the chilling story of Dr. Harold Shipman, who used his clinic not to save lives but to take them. In Hyde, a small town in England with a population of 30,000, Dr. Shipman murdered countless people. Over the course of 23 years, he killed more than 250 people, and no one suspected a thing. His reign of terror might have continued if he hadn't made one critical mistake. What drove him to kill so many people for so long without getting caught? And what evidence finally exposed his deadly secret? Dr. Harold Shipman ran his clinic in Hyde, a small town near Manchester with about 3,000 patients. He primarily targeted elderly, isolated individuals, making their deaths seem natural. Shipman gave these patients plenty of time and attention, even visiting their homes. He listened to them, offering companionship and earning their trust, even though his true intentions were far darker. Some patients trusted him so much that they gave him their house keys. This behavior made him famous, as people believed he was just a kind doctor who enjoyed talking to elderly patients. In reality, Shipman was gathering personal information: who was wealthy, who lived alone, and when relatives would be absent. Once he had all the details, he would administer a fatal overdose, targeting patients who were already over 80, making their deaths seem unsurprising. For years, Shipman continued this pattern without suspicion. His career began in Pontefract, 70 kilometers from Hyde, where he worked in a hospital. In 1974, he moved to Todmorden and became a general practitioner at the Abraham Ormerod Medical Center. However, during this time, he was caught prescribing large amounts of pethidine, a highly addictive painkiller, for personal use. Though he was fined and sent to rehab, he avoided losing his medical license. In 1977, after a stint in rehab, Shipman relocated to Hyde and joined the Donnybrook Medical Center. By the 1980s, he was still using drugs and killing patients, but his murders increased significantly after he opened his own clinic in 1993. For years, no one suspected him, until March 1998, when Dr. Linda Reynolds, who worked at a nearby clinic, noticed an unusually high number of deaths among Shipman's patients. In just 3 months, 16 of his patients had died, while her larger practice had only recorded 14 deaths. Suspicion deepened when it was discovered that all 16 of Shipman's patients had been cremated, a rare choice in a community where burial was more common. Dr. Reynolds reported her concerns to the coroner in Manchester, highlighting that Shipman's patients were mostly elderly women who died at home, often dressed and sitting up rather than in bed. And in many cases, Shipman was either present at their death or the first to arrive after. An investigation was launched, but the police found no evidence and the case was dropped after a month. Shipman continued killing, even signing off on death certificates himself and manipulating the paperwork to conceal his crimes. It wasn't until the death of former Mayor Kathleen Grundy in June 1998 that Shipman made a fatal error. After her death, Grundy's daughter, Angela Woodruff, a lawyer, became suspicious when she received her mother's will, which left everything to Shipman. She reported her concerns to the police, who exhumed Grundy's body and discovered traces of diamorphine, a powerful painkiller. Shipman had claimed Grundy was a heroin addict, even entering this into his computer records. However, police discovered that he had backdated the entry, unaware that the system recorded the actual date of the last edit. This, along with the discovery of a typewriter used to forge Grundy's will, provided enough evidence to arrest Shipman in September 1998. The police investigation soon uncovered a disturbing pattern of deaths, where patients were given lethal doses of diamorphine and their deaths were falsely attributed to old age. Many bodies were exhumed, and forensic analysis confirmed Shipman's long history of murder. In total, he is confirmed to have killed 218 patients between 1975 and his arrest, though the actual number may be as high as 260. In 2000, he was sentenced to life in prison. However, in 2004, Shipman committed suicide in his cell, leaving behind many unanswered questions about his motives. Some speculate his killing spree was fueled by psychological issues, a desire for control, or unresolved grief from his mother's death. One of his fellow inmates even claimed that Shipman confessed to killing 508 people, though this remains unverified. To this day, the motive behind his horrific actions remains a mystery. Some say it was financial gain. Others believe it was a psychological disorder rooted in his experience watching his mother die of cancer, a death eased by morphine. Was Harold Shipman a monster driven by madness, or was he simply a cold, calculating killer? We may never know the full truth, but what's clear is that Shipman, a man who vowed to heal, became one of the most prolific serial killers in history. If you found this story as shocking as we did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping true crime stories. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.